A very good afternoon to all my dear students. I hope you all are fine and healthy, and I hope you all are studying hard. You all are preparing for your examinations. So I can see that Om Krishna Gupta, Sudarshan, Swati, Bhumika, Kiran Bala, these students have already joined. Others also please join. So today, students, will be starting with chapter number 9, which is special features of audit of different types of entities. In our chapter number 8, 2 essays are left that I'll be taking up at the end of the session. Like one essay I'll cover today itself, and the next essay we'll cover in the next session, which is scheduled for chapter number 9, right? Again, chapter number 9 is again another important chapter, and it is also a little bit lengthy chapter, but yes, you are going to find it very interesting, right? So let us start with the topic. So I'm not following the sequence as is given in the module. I'm starting from page number 9.27, that is audit of non-governmental organizations, right? Page number 9.27, right? So see, what are non-government organizations? So these are the non-profit making organizations which raise funds from the members. There are various donors, contributors, and apart from receiving the donation in form of money, the NGOs also receive donation in the form of time, energy, and skills, right? And why is the NGO getting all these donations and contributions? So as to enable it to achieve what various social objectives that it has. So it can be like imparting education, medical facilities, providing medical facilities, providing economic assistance to poor, managing various disasters, right? Or various emergent situations like tsunami or COVID, right? So see what we are doing. We will first try to understand as to what is NGO, the various income, the sources, the applications with respect to NGO, and then various points that the auditor has to keep in mind while conducting the audit of NGO, right? So I hope you all have understood as to what is NGO. Now, in your module, the definition of NGO, it includes what? The religious organizations, the voluntary health and welfare agencies, the charitable organization, hospitals, old age home, and research foundations. Examples are like your Child Relief and UNICEF Concern India Foundation, right? Now, these NGO students, these may be registered either as societies under the Societies Registration Act 1860, or as trust under the India Trust Act 1882, or as companies also under Section 8 of the Companies Act 2013, right? When the NGOs are registered as companies under Companies Act 2013, the books needs to be prepared based on what? Accrual basis, because of what? Section 128 of the Companies Act. And if the same is not prepared on accrual basis, it will be considered as a non-compliance. And with respect to the NGOs which are incorporated, which are, in fact, I can say which are not incorporated under the Companies Act, right? For example, under the Societies Act or under a Society Registration Act or under the India Trust Act, they are allowed to prepare the financial statement either on cash or either on accrual basis. Simple. Now, tell me what can be various sources of funds of NGOs? Sources of funds. Quickly send in your replies. Sources of funds. So I was telling you that this chapter is very interesting. You will see the audit with respect to NGO, hospitals, hotels, educational institutions. But yes, how the session will become interesting when you will make it interactive. So I need replies from your side. Tell me. So sources of funds. Som Gupta is saying donation. Sukaina is saying grants. Absolutely correct. So The sources of fund can be grants or donations. It can be fundraising programs. So various fundraising program, for example, let's say certain areas hit by a tsunami. So for meeting that disaster, the special program has been done. So fund is been raised for what? Meeting that situation. Then fees from members can come, technical assistance fees, then fee for services rendered if any services are being rendered by the NGO, the subscription or gifts, and sale of produce or publications. For example, the NGO is engaged in manufacturing of certain, you can say handicrafts. So it will be what? Sale of produce or the publications, right? Now, donations and grants, they form a substantial portion of the sources of funds of the NGO. Now, with respect to donations and grants, let us see various important points. So, these, when the donations or grants are received in the nature of promoters' contribution, these will not be booked as income in the revenue, but they will be shown as capital receipts. That is shown in the liability side of the balance sheet, right? Now, the contribution that is received, that can be either for corpus or can be a revolving fund. So when it is for corpus fund, it basically means that it is towards the capital. So that is, it is the same is to be capitalized, to be added to the corpus fund, right? Then there can be what? Voluntary contributions, whereby specific directions are given that they shall form part of the corpus only. So in that case, they shall not be included with the total revenue, right? Now, what is revolving fund? So revolving. So basically what happens is, suppose this is the NGO, it will get funds from or donations from any of the donor, and further it will give it to any other, let's say NGO or any other beneficiary. And on that it will obtain what? Any interest, right? So these are the temporary loan that are given and then taken back. So revolving, as the name suggests, rotating the amount by giving temporary loans from the funds to other NGOs or beneficiaries, and then recover the loan so as to give temporary loans and so on, right? And then the interest amount, it shall either be added back to the fund or it will be credited to the income and expenditure account based on the, depending upon the restrictions by the authority who has provided the contribution or the rules and regulations of the NGO. Simple. So students, if you are not able to reply on Zoom, not an issue, you can reply on the BOS app. Okay, don't get worried about this thing. So this is what revolving fund, right? Now, the donation and grants may be received for acquisition of specific fixed assets. In that case, it will be utilized for that purpose only. Or the donation or grant may be received as contribution in kind, like land is given, building, vehicles, offices, articles, right? So all these can also be received. Now tell me, what can be the application of funds? Application of funds. So application of funds can be the establishment cost, that is the cost of day-to-day running, the office and administrative expenses, the maintenance expenses, program project expenses, and NGO may further do charity and donations and contributions, right? Now, what are the various provisions relating to audit with respect to NGO? So we have so far studied various important aspects with respect to the NGO, the various sources and application of funds, right? Now, the various provisions relating to what? Audit. Now, the NGO which are registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860 or the Indian Trust Act 1882, in that case, the auditor is normally appointed by the management. However, the NGO which is registered under Section 8 of the Companies Act, now to you all must be aware, who will appoint the auditor of such NGO which has been incorporated by way of a company? Quickly send in your replies. So it will be by the members of the company, right? And the Companies Act 2013 or the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010 or the Income Tax Act 1961, it may require that the accounts of the NGO should be audited and the report should be submitted, right? So they may require that the accounts of the NGO should be audited and the report should be submitted, the failure of which will lead to what? Forfeiture of certain exemptions and benefits of the NGO, right? Further, the Foreign Currency Regulation Act 2010, it requires that the report should be furnished to the Ministry of Home Affairs within 60 days from the close of the year. So I can say 30th May of every year, the report is to be furnished to the Ministry of Home Affairs, right? Under the FCRA Act 2010, right? Now, when the auditor is planning the audit with respect to NGO, so what will he concentrate on? What will be the various areas? So students, you will see that whatever we are going to study now, so this is more or less the uh, concepts that you have done so far. Chapter number 5 or the various audit procedures that we have applied, but now we are talking in terms of, or you can say specific terms of NGO here, right? So when the auditor is planning the audit, he'll concentrate on obtaining the knowledge about the work, the mission, the vision, the operating operations, the operating environment of the NGO, the various relevant statutes that are applicable, whether Societies Registration Act, or you can say whether the FCRA Act 2010 or whether Income Tax Act 1961 is applicable. So and then the legal form organization, the memorandum of association, article of association, this is what rules and regulations. He'll consider the organizational chart, the various manuals, the program guidelines. Auditor will also consider what? When he's planning the audit, he'll consider the minutes of the meetings, right? In order to understand if any important decision has been taken, which has an impact on the financial records. Then he'll obtain understanding of the accounting system, the various procedures, the internal controls that have been implemented, materiality level, SA 320, nature timing of reports and other communications, right? Involvement of experts, if any is there, right? And then he'll review the previous year audit report, right? So these all are the points that we have already covered in the chapters we have done so far. So but now this is more specifically with respect to planning and audit of NGO. Okay. Now the audit program. So you all know that audit program is what? It is sequential order, step by step. It is what? A sequential order of the steps that the auditor will consider when he's conducting the audit procedures. So now auditor will consider the audit program with respect to assets, with respect to liabilities, with respect to income and expenditure. That is, no material item should be omitted. Simple. Now, when we discuss about the audit program, so just keep in mind that what all will form the part of the assets and liability side of an NGO, of the balance sheet of NGO, or the income and expenditure. And that audit program, you will see that it is going to cover the points relating to the various line items of balance sheet or income statement, right? So let us take what corpus fund. So the funds that are received from the donors. So what document the auditor is going to check. And in fact, you will see that when we consider, see audit program mein kya hota hai? That with respect to this particular point, what audit procedures you are going to perform, what documentation will be required, right? So you will see that donor letter is a very common document that has been dealt in with respect to the points that we are going to discuss. So when, let's say, take example of corpus funds. So auditor will verify what? The donor letter. And he will see the interest that is coming, right? So he will compare it with the investment receipts and the investments that are physically held, right? Then in case amount are to be transferred to the reserves, again, he'll refer to what? The donor's letter, whereby the provisions with respect to transfer of reserves from the projects is been mentioned. And further, with respect to such transfer, auditor will also consider what? Board resolution. Earmarked funds. What are earmarked funds? When the funds are allocated, a determined amount is allocated for a specific goal, for a specific purpose, right? So auditor will check what are such purposes, what are such requirements, again, of the donor institution. So you can again say the donor's letter or the donor agreement, the board resolution and the rules and regulations of the NGO. Is it clear? Then is project and agency balances, if any balances are been there, that is any balances are been there which has been allocated for a particular project, then the disbursement of the expenses that has been done. And again, if the donor has donated for a particular project, then the donor's agreement for each of such balance. Simple. So I told you donor's letter or the agreement, it forms an important document when we discuss about the audit program with respect to the audit of NGO. Now, with respect to the loans, if any, that has been taken, again the agreements and your counterfoils that has been issued, right? If the loans, if any, that has been given. With respect to the fixed assets, auditor is going to vouch what acquisition or disposal or sale, the depreciation that has been charged, and whether the acquisition or the disposal is as per the authorization. Again, if any fixed asset has been donated, so we have seen contribution in kind. So again, auditor will refer to what donor letter, and in case of any immovable properties there, he'll refer to what the title deed, right? Then investments by the NGO. So auditor will consider what? Auditor is going to consider investment register, and he'll see the investments that are physically held and see whether the same are in the name of the NGO. On the and if during the year there have been certain investments that have been acquired and disinvestment, that is that have been sold, so whether the same is as per the approval of the appropriate authority. Further, he will also verify the bank account in order to verify what the principal and the interest amount. Simple. With respect to cash in hand, what comes to your mind? The first thing is what? He'll physically verify the cash. And in case the impressed balance is there that has been kept with the various members of the NGO, at the year end, he'll compare the same with the balances that is appearing in the books of accounts. With respect to bank reconciliation, the first thing that comes to my mind is what? BRS. If any old outstanding amount is there or any unadjusted amount is there, he'll consider that also. With respect to inventory of NGO, so he'll verify the inventory in hand and he'll obtain a certificate from the management, or you can say a WR, written representation with respect to the quantity and valuation of such inventory, right? Then if any expenditure is there for a particular program or project, right? Then see, the NGO has received a certain donation, and out of this donation received, now expenditure has been done. Let's say let's say COVID affected areas, right? So the donor agreement he'll see. If any conditions are there on the in the agreement with respect to the expenditure that can be done, auditor will consider that. If any expenditure, for example, if any expenditure for incurring any expenditure, contractors have been hired. Let's say a building has to be constructed, contractors have been hired. Then auditor will verify whether appropriate TDS has been deducted, it has been deposited, and he'll consider the return so file. And with respect to the contracts, he'll refer to the various terms of the contract. Is it clear? And the last point, which is again which is important, that is what? Establishment expenses. So the various expenses like PF, your life insurance, the ESI, the administrative charge, whether the same have been deducted, contributed, and deposited within the prescribed time, and other official or administrative expenses like postage, stationery, traveling. So students, if you get a specific question that with respect to the audit of NGA, you are being asked to verify the various, let's say, traveling expenses with respect to NGO. So you will mention that with respect to NGO, auditor is going to consider various points. Now tell me, under like in which chapter have you studied about the various audit procedures for traveling expenditures? Quickly send in your replies. Om Gupta, Bhumika, Kiran Shukla, Sukaina, please reply if I ask about the various traveling expenses. So you will not say that traveling expense ka checking with respect to NGO is not given in the module. See, you all have done chapter number 5. We have revised chapter number 5 in much detail. Yes, Bhumika, Swati, correct. So the procedures that are there, the same procedures will be applied with respect to NGO, right? So you are going to mention that also, right? So these were the various points that the auditor has to consider when he is what? Considering the audit program. So just keep in mind the balance sheet and just see that what all items can come in the balance sheet and then the P&L. Is it clear? Now, the receipt of income by NGO. So what can be the various kind of incomes of NGO that we have already done, the sources of funds, right? So let us just do the verification procedure with respect to the receipt of income of NGO. We have done what can be the sources. Now we are considering as to what all documents the auditor can check, right? So it can be what contributions and grants for certain projects or certain programs. So again, auditor will consider what the donors agreement or grant hai to grant letter, and he'll consider foreign contribution receipts in order to see that if any foreign contribution is there, whether all such contribution have been accounted for. Simple. Then receipts from fundraising program. So if any specific program has been run in order to raise the funds to meet any specific thing. For example, I gave example of, let's say, tsunami hit areas. So first of all, see the person, when any specific program has been done, the auditor is going to consider the internal control with respect to the receipts. So when the amount is received, the who are the persons who are responsible for collection? What is the internal control with respect to that? Whether the collections that have been done, whether those are counted for or deposit in the bank on daily basis, auditor is going to consider that, right? With respect to the membership fees, so if the NGO has certain members, so he'll consider what the membership registers. He'll see that there is proper classification with respect to, let's say, if any fees is being charged for the entrance to NGO. So for that, the annual fees or the life membership fees, he'll see that there is proper classification and he'll reconcile the amount that has been received and the amount that is to be received. Simple. Now, there can be certain subscription. For example, if magazines or any circulars or periodicals are issued by the NGO. So again, he'll refer to what the subscription registers. And when such subscription is received, some receipts must be issued. He'll consider that, right? And he'll reconcile the subscription that has been received along with the subscription register. He'll reconcile it with the printing and dispatch of magazine, circular, and periodicals. That is, whatever magazine, circular, periodicals for which the subscription has been received, he'll reconcile the quantity that has been printed or dispatched vis-a-vis the amount of subscription, and he'll consider the rate schedule also. Simple. Then another form of receipt of income can be interest or dividend. So he'll reconcile what has been received and what was actually receivable. Simple. Is it clear? So with this, we have covered the audit of NGO. Let me just once take you through the module and then we'll start the next topic. Meanwhile, please send in a reply whether it is clear or not. So we have seen that NGO, apart from contributions, they receive what? Donation of time and all that, right? And the various examples are given here. Then sources of funds can be promoters contribution and corpus contribution is towards the capital. Then voluntary contributions हैं, so there will be what specific direction that they shall be formed, whether they shall form part of corpus or otherwise. Revolving fund we all have done, that temporary loans are given from the fund to other NGOs and then recovered back. Specific fixed assets के लिए if any amount has been received, it will be utilized for that only. Contribution in kinds can be like when the building or vehicles or beds or raw materials, these are provided. And establishment cost can be the various expenses that are here mentioned. What are the provisions? So we have seen that companies के case में members will appoint, otherwise it can be appointed by the management. And your income tax act, your FCRA act, Companies Act 2013, it may require that NGO's account should be audited and submitted, right? Just a minute. Right? While planning, auditor is going to concentrate on the knowledge of the NGO's work, mission, vision, then knowledge with respect to various statutes, then legal form of the organization, the rules and regulations, the memorandum article, then the organization chart, minutes of the board meetings in order and other managing committee meeting, governing meeting, in order to understand the impact of decisions on financial records, accounting system procedures, IC, materiality level, the report's nature and timing, involvement of experts, and review of the previous year audit report. And if you talk about the audit program, then just keep in mind the entire balance sheet. So corpus funds, reserves, earmarked funds, project agency balances, loan, fixed assets, investments, cash in hand, bank balance, inventory. Now the expenses, program and project expenses, establishment expenses. And we talk about the receipt of the income, then it can be contribution and grants for projects and programs, receipts from fundraising programs, membership fees, subscription, interest and dividends. Is it clear? So I can see Om Gupta, Swati, Bhumika, these students are saying it is clear. Now let us start with the audit with respect to sole trader. Now see students, so this is on page number 9.32 of your module. And in fact, many of the topics I'll be taking up directly from the module because they are given in short. So you will be able to mark the keywords that you are required to understand and learn from the point of view of your examination. So audit of sole proprietor, as such, there is no legal obligation to get the accounts audited. But the regulatory requirement, like if any inventory broker requires it or any banks require it, the sole proprietor may get the accounts audited. Now, if the accounts are to be audited, if the accounts of sole proprietor business are to be audited, the appointment of the auditor shall be done by who? Sole proprietor. And then it will be the duty of the incoming auditor to communicate with the previous auditor, and the sole proprietor is going to determine the scope and conditions under which the audit will be conducted. For example, so the sole proprietor can stipulate that only a partial audit shall be carried out, because this is what voluntary audit now, that certain parts of the account shall not be checked, or that the auditor shall prepare the final statements of account. He can also decide whether the audit should be carried out continuously or at the end of the year. So it is up to the sole proprietor, right? And then, student, these points are really very easy, right? And now certain points with respect to contract of appointment. So the contract of appointment of the auditor should be in writing, very logical. It should clearly define the scope of the audit, clear. Why? So that in order to prevent the misunderstanding, and in case there is no appointment contract in writing, then auditor should write to his client in he should write, or either through a mail or through some letter, explaining the scope of his duties. Is it clear? Simple. So you may get a 4-mark question that what are the various points with respect to the audit with respect to sole trader business. So these are the points that you need to consider. Now let us do the next topic from a module itself, audit of firm. So tell me, who will appoint the auditor in case of firms, partnership firms? So abhi we are talking about partnership firm. The next topic will be what? Your limited liability partnerships. So Swati, Om, Gupta, Bhumika, these students are saying it shall be, the auditor shall be appointed by the partners, which is absolutely correct. So see students, the auditor shall be appointed by the partners. So either based on the decision taken by them, that they have decided that we will together appoint the auditor, or to comply with the condition written in the partnership agreement. So if it is mentioned in the partnership agreement, they are going to consider that. Now, students, with respect to the audit of the firm, just try to understand that, okay, you tell me what can be the important document when the auditor is conducting the audit of a partnership firm. What can be the document? Supervising partners, please reply. So it will be deed, partnership deed. Om Gupta has answered it correctly. It will be what? Partnership deed, right? So it says that the auditor, so it will be appointed by the partners based on the decision taken by them or based on the condition as prescribed in the partnership agreement, right? Who will decide the remuneration? Again, the partners. And the letter of appointment shall clearly state the nature and scope of the audit, right? And student, there was a point in sole proprietor also, which is there with respect to auditor firm also, that if any auditor, if there is a change of auditor, then it will be the duty of the incoming auditor to communicate with the previous auditor. The same point applies. In fact, it applies to auditor's responsibility with respect to each type of entity, right? The auditor may then auditor will ensure that whether the accounting standards have been complied with, right? Now, what are the matters that the auditor is going to consider before starting the audit? So, first and foremost, he'll consider what? Partnership agreement, right? And the partner, after going through the, while going through the partnership agreement, auditor is going to understand various things. What can be those things? So, what is the name and style under which the business is conducted? The duration of partnership that has been agreed upon, the amount of capital, whether it is fixed or whether it is varied. Okay. And then the periods, when the periods at the end of which the accounts will be closed. What will be the profit sharing ratio, right? Whether the losses are to be borne by the partner or whether the partners will not be required to do so. So how will auditor be aware about all these points after going through the partnership deal? Then the various provisions relating to maintenance of books of accounts, like creation of reserves, provisions for depreciation, whether the accounts can be reopened for correcting any error, right? Then the borrowing capacity of the partner, whether the partnership firm can borrow funds or not, right? The rate of interest which has been given with respect to the capitals and loans provided by the partner, and the rate of interest which has been charged on the drawings and the current account of the partners, right? Whether salaries are payable to the partners or withdrawals are permitted. Who is responsible for managing the business of the firm? That is the managing partners, right? And who shall operate the bank account of the firm? Surplus funds hain, to where the same shall be invested. So what is auditor doing? He is just going through the partnership agreement, the partnership deed, the limitations and restrictions that have been agreed upon with respect to powers of the partners, right? So you may get a question that what all information will auditor get after he considers what partnership agreement. So these are the points that you need to mention. And I hope students, you are finding it easy, because these topics are really very easy. But yes, again, in order to understand as to what language you have to write, what particular keywords you have to write, we have to go through the module, right? Now, what are the various advantages of audit of a partnership firm? You tell me, what can be the various advantages? Please send in your replies. Please send in your replies. What can be the various advantages if the partnership firm gets their account audited? So I'm waiting for your replies. So it will help in dispute settling. So in case any dispute is there among the partners, the audited financial statement is going to help in settling that dispute, right? In case of dissolution of the firm, if any partner is retiring, or let's say in case of death of the partner, so the audited financial statement, they are more reliable when the retiring partner has to see as to what he is going to get as a part of profits or goodwills. And same way, the representative of the deceased partner, they can rely on the audited financial statements, right? The next point is again relating to reliability. So when, let's say, the banks have to give loan, right? Or let's say any prospective purchaser of the partnership is there. Just a minute. So when they have to consider what is the worth, or bank has to provide the loan. So they find that the audited accounts, audited statement of accounts, they are more relied upon, they are more reliable. So the way we said in case of dissolution, again, we can say in case of the admission of the partners, right? So it helps in what? Better negotiations when the financial statements are audited. And last but not the least, the control. That is, see, it might be possible that certain partners are sleeping partners, they are not actively involved. So if the financial statements of the audit of the firm are audited by a statutory auditor, so in that case, the chances of misusing such active involvement by the partners who are active involved, it will be reduced. So let us just have a look at these points from your module. So these are what: disputes resolution, then dissolution, reliable, admission, and control. So it provides convenient and reliable means of settling the accounts between the partners. Possibility of occurrence of dispute among them is mitigated. Mitigated is what? Reduced. Dissolution: on retirement or death of the partner, audited accounts which have been accepted by partners constitute a reliable evidence for computing the amount due to the retiring partner or representative of the deceased partner, like share of capital, profits, and goodwill. Reliable: these are considered to be relied upon by the banks and as well as by the prospective purchasers of the business as evidence of profitability of the concern and its financial position, right? Admission: it can be helpful in the negotiations to admit a person, and especially when the financial statements, audited financial statements, are available for the number of past years. And last point is with respect to control. An audit is an effective safeguard against any undue advantage be taken by a working partner or partner, especially in case of those partners who are not actively associated with the working of the firm. So Sukaina is saying no fights, correct. Bhumika is saying helpful at the time of admission dissolution, correct. Sukaina is saying no fraud, trust, correct. In solving dispute dissolution, Kiran, correct. Enhances reliability, Kiran, correct. And helpful in taking loans, Bhumika, correct. Right? Now, again, the next topic, the way we did for NGO. Now, the next topic with respect to partnership firm is that what are the matters that the auditor should specially consider in the audit of the partnership. So first of all, he'll consider, see, in the audit of accounts of the partnership. So first of all, he'll consider his letter of appointment, right? Then the auditor is going to consider the partnership documents. So first of all, he is appointed, so he'll consider his letter of appointment. Why? Because that letter of appointment, it should clearly state the nature and scope of audit as contemplated by the partners, and especially if any limitation has been imposed, right? If any limitation has been imposed under which the auditor shall have to function, right? Then the second document is what? Partnership agreement or your partnership documents. So auditor will see that how the various policy decisions are taking place. He'll consider another important partnership documents can be what? The minutes of the meeting. Why? Because auditor should also consider the authorization of extraordinary capital expenditure, raising of loans, purchase of assets, extraordinary contracts. So he'll consider the minutes of the meeting relating to such authorization, such meetings whereby all these matters are discussed, right? When the auditor is conducting the audit of the partnership firm, he will keep in mind what are the objects of partnership. Why? Because the partnership firm, it should conduct only that business which are there in the objects of the partners, right? And it should not do anything which is in violation of the partnership deal. So verifying that the business in which partnership is engaged is authorized by the partnership agreement, right? Then books of accounts. Auditor is going to examine whether books of accounts are reasonable and these are adequate in relation to the business of the partnership. Mutual interest. See, one of the most important point why the audit of partnership firm is conducted is that in order to see that the interest of interest of any of the partners, let's say who are sleeping partners who are not actively involved, that should not be prejudiced by the other partners by violating any term of their partnership deed. So the mutual interest at this point says that verifying generally that the interest of no partner has suffered prejudicially by an activity engaged in the partnership firm which it was not authorized to do under the partnership deed or by violation of a provision in the partnership agreement. Simple. Then with respect to provision of taxes also, auditor is going to confirm. So confirming whether provision from firm tax payable has been considered before considering the profits which are divisible among the partners. And the division of profit should be as per the profit sharing ratio as given in the partnership agreement. So are you able to understand certain keywords you have to use? Like with respect to NGO, we have seen donor agreement. Here we are getting the point of what? Partnership agreement again and again. Okay. So this points this is the point that I have just discussed. The object of examining the partnership agreement, which is an important feature of such an audit, is that the auditor may be able to report to the partners if the interest or any partner has been prejudicially affected. Prejudicially is harmfully, right? On account of the firm having engaged itself in an activity which is not authorized to do or violation of any of the provision of the partnership agreement. Quickly go through this test your understanding question quickly, and then after this we'll be starting with your LLP, audit of limited liability partnership. CA Akash Virmani is auditor of a partnership firm consisting of 4 partners. During the year, one of the partners has retired and another partner has joined the next day. Discuss any one point which shall be considered by you to ensure that financial statement of firms are not misstated due to change of constitution of firm. So very logical, or you can say very practical question. Na? As such, nothing audit specific. So the answer that is given is that the auditor, see, one partner is retiring and one partner is joining. So the profits till the date of the retirement, if that partner is what? Retiring? Retiring. So the profits till the date of the retirement, that should be calculated appropriately. So the answer that is given on page number 9.92 is what? The auditor shall consider provisions of retirement partnership deed for date of retiring and joining of partners. It should be ensured that profits are appropriately distributed up to the date of retirement, right? Further, profits after retirement should have been distributed among partners as per the terms of the new partnership deed. Simple. So Om Gupta is saying partnership deed should be changed, which is correct, right? But yes, you will have to write some like elaborate answer, right? As is given at the back of your book of on page number 9.92. So I hope the audit of NGO, audit of sole proprietor, audit of partnership firms. I hope all the 3 audits are clear. Now we'll be starting with the audit with respect to limited liability partnership. Quickly send in your reply. Is it clear? So we have done audit of firm. Now is the time to start with audit of limited liability partnership. Whatever we have done, is it clear? So the next topic is LLP. So what is the act that comes to your mind when we discuss LLP? The quickly send in your replies. Tom Gupta, Swati, Bhumika are saying clear. Please tell me the act related to LLPs. So it is the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. So I'll do one thing. I'll keep on highlighting the keywords. so that you are able to understand as to how to highlight the keywords in the module. So see the LLPs, these are governed by the LLP Act 2008, Swati correct, Om Gupta correct. Okay. Now, LLP, they have the advantages of both the company as well as the partnership form of organization, right? So in LLP, two partners, minimum of two partners are required, and at least two partners should be what? Designated partners. They should have the DPIN, that is designated partner identification number. And the rights and duties of the partners is governed by, again, the agreement, the limited liability partnership agreement. Clear? Okay. Now, what is a small limited liability partnership? Important definition introduced in the new scheme. Small limited liability partnership. So, a small limited liability partnership means any LLP. So, there are two criteria: the contribution and the turnover, and both needs to be fulfilled, right? So the contribution of which does not exceed 25 lakhs or such higher amount not exceeding 5 CR as may be prescribed. So as may be prescribed is what? 5 CR. So the contribution of which does not exceed 25 lakhs or such higher amount as may be prescribed, and that amount that has been prescribed is what? 5 CR. And the turnover of which, as per the statement of accounts and solvency for immediately preceding financial year, does not exceed 40 lakhs or such higher amount as may be prescribed, and it is what? 50 CR, 50 crores, right? So if both the conditions are satisfied, it is connected by what? And it will be what? Small limited liability partnership. Clear? Now, the LLPs, they are required to maintain the annual accounts in a manner such that the books of accounts shall contain various particulars. So you may get a question that what is the criteria or how the LLPs are required to prepare to maintain their books of accounts. So the LLPs are required to maintain books of accounts which shall contain what? Very simple. Particulars of money received and expended and the matters in relation to receipt expenditure. Then there will be what? Record of assets and liabilities. Simple. Then statements. So it is record of assets liability, and the first one was particulars of your amount received, expended, and the matters relating to such receipt expenditure. Second one, record of assets and liabilities. Third, statement of cost of goods purchased, inventory, work in progress, finished goods, and cost of goods sold, and any other particulars that the partners may decide. Simple, but yes, you can always get a 3-mark question here, right? Now, the next topic is what? Audit of accounts of LLP. So, the rule is what? The relevant rule is Rule 24 of LLP Rules 2009, right? So, it says that every LLP shall get its account audited, however, except for any LLP whose turnover does not exceed in any financial year 40 lakhs or whose contribution does not exceed 25 lakhs. So if both the conditions are there, the LLP is not required to get its account audited. But if the partners decide on a voluntary basis that the accounts will be audited, the criteria will be Rule 24 of LLP Rules 2009. Simple. The next topic is again the various advantages, purpose or need for audit. We have done with respect to partnership. These are almost the same. Detection of errors. So one of the student, Sukaina, has mentioned that no fraud will be conducted. So see, this point is here, detection of error, right? Dispute settlement, reliability, better compliance and management. While periodical visits and suggestions by auditor, it will help in what? Better management and compliance and reconstitution. That is in case of, so there was point of dissolution, right? So it is saying reconstitution, that admission, death, retirement, insolvency, insanity. So audited accounts are accepted by those who have the dealings with LLP. Simple. Another important topic, you may get a 3-mark question here. What are the returns that are to be maintained and filed by an LLP? So two types of returns are required. First is annual return in Form 11. And second is statement of accounts and solvency, and the form number is 8, right? So with respect to annual return, every LLP would be required to file annual return in Form 11 with ROC within 60 days from the closure of the financial year. And such annual return shall be available for public inspection on payment of the prescribed fees to the registrar. Simple. This was with respect to annual return. Now with respect to statement of account and solvency, and the form is Form 8. And the time period here is 30 days from the end of 6 months. From the end of 6 months of the financial year to which the statement of accounts or solvency relates. Okay. So with respect to Form 11 annual return, it is what 60 days from the closure of financial year. So 31st March, if it is the closure, then 60 days will be what? 30th May, right? Approximately. And then it is what? 30 days from the end of 6 months of the financial year to which the statement of accounts and solvency relate. So it will come out to be what? 30 days from the end of 6 months. So end of 6 months is September, 30th September, and 30 days will be what? 30th October, approximately. These will be the dates, right? Now, with respect to appointment of auditor, so the designated partners will appoint the auditor, and the first auditor will be appointed at any time for the first financial year, but the same should be appointed before the end of the first financial year. Before the first financial year ends, the auditor will be appointed by the designated partners. And with respect to the other years, other than the first year, at least 30 days prior to the end of the financial year. So when the financial year is ending, at least 30 days prior to that, the auditor should have been appointed. And the designated partner will fill the casual vacancy and also the casual vacancy whereby it has been created because of the removal of the auditor. Simple. Further, if there is failure on part of the designated partners, the partners will appoint the auditor. Simple. Now, auditor's duty regarding the audit of LLP. Again, if you remember, these are the same points that we have done with respect to partners also, partnership firm. So engagement letter, he will see. Minutes book, he'll refer, right? LLP agreement. Remember all these points. Why LLP agreement? Because he'll be able to understand nature of the business, amount of capital contributed, interest, duration of partnership, drawings allowed, salaries, borrowing powers, rights and duties, method of settlement of account, any loans advanced, yeah, profit sharing ratio, same that we have done for partnership. Then the last is with respect to reporting in case of the audit of LLP. So the auditor shall mention whether the records of the firm appear to be correct and reliable. He will mention that whether he has obtained all information and explanation necessary for his work and whether any restriction was imposed upon him. See, with respect to partnership firm also, you can see that this is a common point, that whether any restriction or limitation has been imposed, right? So auditor is going to consider that. Is it clear? So with this, we have finished the audit with respect to the LLP also. Quickly send in your replies. Quickly send in your replies. So we have done audit of limited liability partnerships also. The next topic that I'm going to start is audit of charitable institution. Students, you are able to find it easy, that I know, but you will be able to write correct answers with respect to all these entities if you get the question relating to audit of these entities, only if you have gone through the module. Right? So this is an easy chapter. It's better that you go through this through this chapter once or twice, and then your chapter will be, easily prepared. But yes, again, as I always say, general answers won't fetch you good marks. So go through the chapter. Since it is easy, reading it once or twice will be enough, right? Som Gupta, Swati, Bhumika are saying clear. Others also please reply. Now let us start with audit of charitable institutions, right? See how the this audit with respect to this charitable institution has been given. There are 9 points that are discussed. So general points, subscriptions and donations, legacies, grants, investments in investment income, rent, special functions, income tax refunds, and expenditure, right? So we will discuss these points one by one. See, when the auditor, so I can say that when the auditor is conducting the audit of charitable institution, he needs to draw his attention towards various matters. So general matters में क्या आएगा? First of all, auditor will consider what the constitution of the firm, right? And then he'll see whether the institution has is been managed as the same was contemplated by law, as it was required by law, right? Auditor will examine the system of internal check regarding the accounting of amounts collected. With respect to the charitable institutions also, the one of the focus area will be what amounts have been collected, right? Whether they have been regularly deposited in the bank and on daily basis. So the next point is the details of income and confirming that amounts received have been deposited in the banks regularly and promptly. And last but not least, the trust deed or the regulations. So these are the general points. So you may get a 3-mark question that you are conducting the audit of charitable institution for the first time. What are the general points that need your attention? So the constitution, right? So you may make summaries also like constitution, right? Or you may just highlight it also. So whether the institution is been managed as was contemplated by law, then internal checks relating to the amount collected, then whether the amount has been deposited in the banks regularly and promptly is quickly, and the trust deed and the regulation. This was the general consideration. Now again, there will be what subscriptions and donations that are received by the charitable institution. So subscriptions are what? Basically the subscriptions that have been there with respect to, you can say magazines, or there can be what? Annual membership fees also, right? So first of all, when the auditor is considering the audit of subscriptions and donations of charitable institution, he'll first of all see whether during the year any changes have been made to the subscription rate or the annual membership rate during the year, and then see when the subscriptions are received or the donations are received, the receipts are issued, right? Now this second point, it has 6 points relating to the official receipts that are issued by the charitable institution. So you may get a 4-mark question that with respect to official receipts that are issued, what all you are going to consider. See, first of all, auditor is going to consider the internal control, whether the same has been is there with respect to the unused receipts. So if there are any unused receipt book, there should be proper internal control over that. He'll obtain all receipt books covering the period under audit, right? Why? Because receipts must have been issued to the persons who are donating, and he'll check them with the donations that are being shown, right? Test checking the counterfoils with the cash book and any cancelled receipts being specially looked into. Simple. Obtaining the printed list of subscription and donations and then tallying with the total collections as shown in the accounts. So he'll ask the management to provide a printed list of the subscription donations that have been received, and then the total subscription that is appearing in the accounts. Auditor is going to reconcile that. Then whether internal check is there with respect to the box collection. So if you all must be aware that in the charitable institutions, boxes are kept, right? Whereby donations can be given, right? So box collections or flag days. Flag days are when the specific fundraising programs are organized. Like let's say on 26th January, certain function is there, so that funds can also be raised, right? Flag days. Checking the amount received from representatives. Controls exercise over collections. Steps taken to ensure that all collections are accounted for, right? Then verifying that the total subscription donations which are published in the report. So auditor will verify, see if the charitable institution has published in any of the report that so much of the subscription and donations have been received, auditor is going to verify that with the total subscription receipt and donation that has been actually received. Is it clear? So I'm telling you that here with respect to this official receipts, you may get a 4-point question, that 4-mark question, that what are the various aspects that the auditor is going to check with respect to the official receipts issued, right? Now, what are legacies? See, the charitable institution may get certain amounts, certain donations with an instruction that after the lifetime of the donor, after their lifetime, that amount has been used for charity, right? So that are what legacies. So in that case, auditor will consider the correspondence if mail has been received, or let's say if any letters were there when the donations were made. So he will check the correspondence and the available information. If any grants are received, again, the relevant corresponding, the minutes of the meeting and the receipts, right? Further, he'll obtain a certificate from a responsible official showing the amounts of grant received. So basically, this is what written representation only, right? Then investment income. So with respect to charitable institution, there will be what the funds that are received. Charitable institution might have invested that funds. So on that fund, there will be what? Either the dividend income or the interest income. So with respect to that income, auditor will vouch the amounts received as dividend or interest. Auditor will consider what? The calculations of interest received, right? Whether appropriate dividend has been received. So if the investments are sold ex dividend, without dividend, so the dividend will be received by charitable institution, or if the investments are purchased come dividend, so here also the dividend will be received by the charitable institution. Auditor will consider that. Comparing the amount of dividend with the schedule of investment, making special inquiries where no dividend has been received. So why investment has been made in why investment has been made in such a security where no dividends has been received. Clear? So again, you may get a 3-mark question, that with respect to investment income of charitable institution, what can be the audit procedures? Then is the rent. So the first and foremost, the most important document that comes to my mind is what? The rent agreements, the tenancy agreements, right? Then the amounts of rent, the due dates, right? And check them with the counterfoils of receipt books, and check them with the total cash book, right? Is it clear? Simple. Then special function, again, the flag days, as I was telling you. So if any special functions are there, there must be certain charity amount that has been received and certain expenditure that has been incurred. So the auditor will consider both. So vouching the gross receipts and outgoings. So the amount that has been received and amount that has gone in respect of special functions like concerts, dramatic performance held in the aid of the charity, with such vouchers and cash statements as are necessary. So particularly verify kya karenge, whether all tickets have been accounted for. Is it clear? Income tax refund. So you will see that various entities like your charitable institution, educational institutions, so where these are exempt from income tax, but since they have received interest on investment income, so on that interest income, certain TDS might have been deducted. So that is why there is a point of income tax refund. So if any on the investment income, any TDS has been deducted, and since the charitable institution is in many cases is exempt from tax, auditor will consider whether the income tax refund has been received or not. He'll check the calculation of the repayment of claims, and he'll verify it from the income tax correspondence from the income tax departments. Clear? Like 143 subsection 1 ka intimation, he'll see that okay, whether the refund, the income tax return that has been filed vis-a-vis the intimation that has been received, whether these are tallying or not, right? All those things. Then is the expenditure. So what can be the expense with respect to charitable institution? So student, this is the last point with respect to audit of charitable institution. So expenditure. See, first of all, the charitable institution may give funds, donations for charitable purpose. ठीक है. So auditor will vouch is examining the documents, right? So he will vouch the payments of grants in order to see that they are within the objects of for which the charitable institution has been there have been set up, right? And that no such contribution or no such donation should be there by which the trustee, director, or member of managing committee has benefited. So if any contribution has been made, any donation has been done by charitable institution, it should be within the purview of the objects of that charitable institution, and it should not happen that any trustee, director, or managing committee, they are getting benefit out of that contribution or donation. Then expenditure can be in the form of what? The inventories. So whether movable or immovable, the charitable institution may also invest or make inventories of, let's say, of the it can be in the form of building also if the same has been purchased, or any inventory could also have been purchased. So in case of immovable property, you all know auditor is going to check what? The title deeds. And with respect to others, the auditor may get what? He may perform physical verification on a sample basis. Then with respect to expenditure, cash and bank payments, auditor is going to verify. And then ascertain that any of the funds which has been contributed for the special purpose, whether the same has been utilized for that purpose only. So if any donation was received whereby the purpose was specifically mentioned, so whether the same has been utilized for that purpose only. So with this, we have covered the audit with respect to charitable institution also. So students, quickly tell me. So today we have covered the audit with respect to NGO, sole proprietor, partnership firm, LLP, and charitable institution. So quickly tell me whether whatever we have done, are you able to understand and learn it here in the session itself? Quickly send in your replies. So Om Gupta, Swati, Bhumika, these students are saying clear. Others also please reply. Kiran Shukla, Sukaina, Bhumika. So the next topic is now audit of educational institution. Educational institution can be what? Any school, college, or university. Now, students, you give me points. You tell me what all points come to your mind when the auditor is conducting the audit of an educational institution. So what all documents come to your mind, or what all items of the P&L account, or the income expenditure account, or the balance sheet comes to your mind that the auditor should verify. Send in your replies. Which agreement, Swati? So that is why I say general answers won't fetch you good marks. So why are you writing agreement here? Send in your replies. Fees, receipt, salaries, government grants, receipts regarding school or tuition fees, school fees, salary, fee structure, receipt, salary to staff. So these are the answers that you have mentioned, which are correct, right? See, again, here also this topic has been discussed by dividing it into 6 parts. So these are what? General points that the auditor will consider. Then fee from student, which is another important topic. And again, you may get a 4-mark question on this topic also. Then other receipts and grants donations. So fees and other receipts, grant donation, the expenditure that the education institution may incur, the assets and liabilities of the education institution, and the various compliances that the education institution has to do, right? So now let us do this general point. So general point means, see student, in fact, see, whenever we conduct the audit of any of the entity, you will see that this is the page number, just a minute, page number 9.3 of your module. So whenever the audit of different types of entities to be considered, first of all, auditor is going to consider the constitution of the entity. So the constitution, the bylaws, rules, regulations, the powers of the members, the management, minutes book of the managing committee, of the general meetings of the board. So these are the general points. Okay. Same way, when the other aspects are to be checked, then what all will be checked? The internal control system, the accounting policies, right? The various aspects relating to fees, rent, income, donation. So these are what? The receipts, basically. What can be the various income? And this is what? The various expenditure, like the salary, rent, general expenses. So this is a small summary whereby it summarizes as to what are the general points or the standard points that we consider when we start conducting the audit of an organization. Now, what we are reading is what specifically in receipts auditor will consider with respect to educational institution. What specifically with respect to expenditure the auditor is going to consider, let's say, with respect to the the educational institution. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? So we were doing audit of educational institution, right? So with respect to let's say school or college, auditor will consider what? The trust deed. Generally, these are in the form of trust only, and the regulations that are applicable. And when a university is there, auditor will also refer to the act of legislation or the regulation. So he'll also consider the act that is applicable, right? Then the minutes of the meetings of the managing committee, the governing body, and specifically the minutes relating to what? The operation of bank accounts and the sanctioning of expenditure. See, sanctioning of expenditure in respect of schools, or you will see hotels or hospital. This is very, very important. Operation of bank account. Who is going to operate the bank account? Who is going to put the signatures on the check? Who is going to issue the checks? Who is going to, basically operate the bank account? So these are the general points that the auditor is going to consider. Okay. Now, fee from student. See, just try to think logically. You will be able to, learn the keywords. So when the fee from students comes, so you may get a question that you are been conducting the audit of so and so school, and you are asked to verify the fees that has been received from the student. So what can be the keywords? So auditor will check the names that are entered in the students fee register. So there must be a students fee register for the entire school. Then there must be class registers whereby the particular the students in the particular classes must be mentioned. So auditor will check the fees that has been charged. He'll check the system of internal. He'll also verify whether they operate a system of internal check to ensure that the demands against the students are properly raised. Right. Then when the fees is received, counterfoils are issued. Auditor will consider that. He'll compare these counterfoils with the cash book and the fee register. So I can say three-way check auditor will consider, right? Then auditor will also consider if any fees is paid in advance. So each month auditor will check the fee register in order to see if there is any fee that has been paid in advance, whether the same has been carried forward, and if there are any arrears which are irrecoverable. whether the same has been written off up under by the appropriate authority. So this third point is relating to fees received in advance or arrears, right? Then the fourth point is with respect to admission fees. See, on the admission fees, when the admission fees is received, on the admission slips, there must be sign of the head of the institution, and the amount of admission fees, it should be credited to the capital fund. It should not be taken to the P&L account. So auditor will consider that. Then if any concession or scholarships are given, so see that free studentship or concessions, again, what will be the important keyword? Whether the same has been authorized. And it should be as per the rules prepared by the managing committee. Then with respect to fees, another point can be what? Late fines for late payment or absence. So whether these are either collected or remitted. Remitted may you can say cancelled, but cancelling will require what? Appropriate authority, right? And with respect to fees, another important point is what? Hostel dues. So whether all the hostel dues are recovered from students, and if any caution money has been, any deposits have been taken, the same should be what? Refunded. So, as I was telling you, this can form a 4 mark important question, that with respect to fees. So, first of all, the fees amount is to be checked from student fee register, class register, internal check that all demands have been raised. Counterfoils, cash book and fee register to check whether the all the revenue has been duly accounted for. Fees in advance, so auditor will check the fee register for each month in order to see fee in advance and arrears. Then admission fees को admission slip से check करना है, head के signatures हैं नहीं and should be transferred to capital fund unless managing committee has decided to have taken a decision to the contrary. फ्री स्टूडेंटशिप और कंसेशन है ऑथराइज होना चाहिए एज पर द रूल्स ऑफ द मैनेजिंग कमिटी होना चाहिए. देन एनी फाइन्स फॉर लेट पेमेंट और एब्सेंस, इट शुड बी इधर कलेक्टेड or the same should be remitted under proper authority. And with respect to the hostel dues, whether the amount received has been what the amount has been recovered before closing the student's account, and then the caution money should have been refunded. Is it clear? So students will do one thing with respect to the rest of the points C, D, E, F. We will do these points after the break. I hope whatever we have done so far is clear to you. In case you have any query, you can always send in your query. So let us take a quick break of 10 minutes here. Nisar, shall we start? So students, before the break, we were doing this topic of audit of educational institution, whereby we have seen that with respect to the general steps that the auditor will see, he'll consider the trust, examine the trust deed regulations with respect to schools and colleges and the various provisions, and with respect to university, he'll refer to the act of legislature or the regulations that are framed thereunder. Then the minutes of the meetings of the managing committee he'll consider, right? Governing body, and more specifically, whereby the decisions relating to the operation of the bank accounts, and sanctioning of expenditure has been considered, auditor will consider all those things. With respect to fee form register, first of all, he'll check the names entered in the student fee register every month. Then he'll check them with the respective class registers, and then he'll see whether a proper internal check operates to ensure that demands against the students have been properly raised. Then he'll see the counterfoils. He'll examine the or compare the counterfoils of receipts with the cash book and the fee registers in order to ensure that all the fees have been duly accounted for. Then he'll check the fee register for each month in order to see the fees paid in advance and the fees that are in arrears. So with respect to fees paid in advance, whether they have been appropriately carried forward, and with respect to the arrears, if the same are irrecoverable, whether the same has been written off under appropriate authority. Admission fees, uh, he'll check what admission slips, and the same should be signed by the head of the institution, and it should be what credited to the capital fund unless the managing committee has taken a decision to the contrary, right? Then free studentship and concession may, whether the same is authorized, and it should be as per the rules prepared by the managing committee. And fines and late fee, whether collected, and if remitted, then it should be under proper authority. Hostels dues should have been recovered before students' accounts were closed, and deposit of caution money refunded, right? Then the next point is, so we have discussed about fees. Apart from fees, there can be other receipts, grants, or donations. So, for example, any premise within the school has been given on rent. So, the rental income from the landed property with the rent rolls is what? Rent receipts. Then, if any endowments or legacies have been received. So, with respect to those, if further also, if any interest or dividends from investments are there, so auditor will consider that. If any government or local authority grant is received, then the memo, that is the memo describing, summarizing as to what is the grant, what is the amount, the date, everything. And if any expense has been disallowed, then ascertaining as to what can be the reasons therefore. Simple. So rental income, endowment legacies, or any grant. Now expenditure. So first and foremost, it will be relating to staff salary and the provident fund money. So whether these have been invested in appropriate securities. Then when any donation is received, that it will be spent on a specific purpose. So whether that donation amount has been received for that specific purpose only. Then the capital expenditure that has been incurred, it should be as per the sanction of the committee. So auditor will also consider what? The minute book. Then if any establishment expenditure are there, or unduly heavy expenditure has been incurred, auditor will consider that. Further, he'll also consider the budgets. And if any of the expenditure is different from what has been budgeted, he'll discuss the same with the managing committee. In case of increase in salaries of the staff, the same should be sanctioned and minuted by the committee. Simple. So this was with respect to the expenditure. Then comes the assets and liabilities with respect to educational institution. So see if any old heavy arrears of amounts of fees or dormitory hostel rents are there. So auditor will report those to the managing committee, right? If arrears are there that they are to be received and they are shown on the asset side, but auditor finds that these are old, these may be unrecoverable. So auditor will discuss them with the managing committee, right? Is it clear? Then with respect to the caution money that has been received or any deposits that has been paid by the students, the same should be shown as liability and it should not be taken up to the revenue side unless the same is what refundable. Because if it is refundable, sorry, unless the same is what non-refundable. Because if it is refundable, then it should be shown as what liability, right? Then any endowment funds for prizes, if they has been received, they shall be kept separately. It should be shown separately also, right? Further, see in a school, these 2 points are relating to what? Inventories. So if in the school there are certain inventories that are issued like the food stuff, the clothing or other equipment, so he will see that all bills are duly authorized and passed before the payments, right? So ascertain that the system of ordering inspection on receipt and issue of provision. So when all such things are received and when all such things are issued, so he'll consider whether it is what authorized. Same way, inventories of furniture. He'll verify the inventories of furniture, stationery, clothing, provision, and all equipment. And then he'll verify it what? Inventory register. And he'll also consider the corresponding figures of the previous year. Simple. Is it clear? So this was with respect to expenditure. So far as the compliances are concerned, see, again, there will be what? Refund of taxes. Why? Because on the investment, there must be interest that has been earned. And on that interest, TDS must have been deducted. And since the educational institutions are generally exempted, so they will obtain what? They will get the refund of the taxes that has been deducted at source, right? And then auditor will verify the annual accounts, statement of accounts, and he will see that various statement of accounts, like in a school there can be various funds that have been there. For example, poor guy funds, game funds, hostel and provision funds to staff. So he'll consider all those statements. So with this we have covered the audit with respect to educational institution. Also quickly tell me, is it clear? 6 points, and you can always get uh, any 4 mark or 3 mark question with respect to any particular point. That fees of students pay, what verification steps you will consider, expenditure of educational institution pay, what specific points you are going to consider. So quickly tell me that audit of educational institution, is it clear? And then we'll be starting with audit of the accounts of hospitals. Quickly send in your reply. And then tell me what all comes to your mind when I ask you that in a hospital, when you go to conduct the audit, what all documents or what all expenditure, specific expenditure, or what are specific incomes come to your mind? Just give me keywords. Bhumika, Swati, Sukaina, Om Gupta is saying yes, clear. Now you send me the replies with respect to hospital audit also. Audit of hospital. Students, I'm waiting for your replies. So patient attendance, donation, cash received, investment, Om Gupta is saying. Sukaina Banu is saying patient register. Swati is saying patient fee receipt, grant by government trustees, donors, awareness program. Bhumika is saying patient register, cash collection, grant, donation receipt. Sukaina is saying doctor's fees, salary. Correct. So the most important point is register of patients. So students, you will see that the steps that are involved in the audit of hospital. So in your module, 13 points are discussed. So let us just have a look at the heading: register of patients, collection of cash, income from investments, rent, legacies and donations, reconciliations of subscriptions, authorizations and sanctions, grant and TDS, budgets, internal check, depreciation, registers, inventories, and management representation and certificate. So now let us have a look at all these points one by one. So register of payments. So auditor will vouches to examine the documents, right? With the copies of bills that has been issued. And he'll also check patient's attendance record in order to see whether the bills have been correctly prepared, because it often happens now that suppose someone is admitted for, let's say, 4 days, but the bill is charged, let's say, for 4.5 days. Then you get it corrected that see the number of hours that have been counted are not correct. So the attendance record, so as to see whether the bills are properly prepared, and such bills should be issued to all patients. Tell me, what assertion are you checking when you are seeing as to whether the bill are issued to all the patients? Quickly send in a reply, Bhumika, Sukaina, Swati, Om, Kiranwala. Quickly send in your replies. When you are checking as to whether the bills have been issued to all the patients from whom the amount is recoverable during the, as per the rules of the hospital, tell me what is the assertion? Bhumika Swat, Bhumika correct. Whether all, whether the bills have been issued to all the patients. So it is completeness. When I'm emphasizing on the keyword all patients, all, right? So this is with respect to register of patients. Then there must be what? When the patients are admitted, there must be what? Collection of cash. So with respect to that, auditor will check whether the same has been entered in cash book. He'll reconcile it with the receipts or the counterfoils and the other audit evidence, for example, copies of patient bills, right? Is it clear? And the cash can be basically the receipt can be in the form of dividend or interest warrants or the interest. So he'll check them with the interest warrants also. And if it is in the form of rent, so he will check it with the rent agreements. So this is what collection of cash. Then income from investments and rent. So if any property is there, so property and investment register he'll see in order to see that all incomes that should have been received has been received. He'll check the dividends, the interest on income that has been received. Simple. Swati, correct now. Then legacies and donations. Again, with respect to legacies and donation, see, you will find a specific point that you will find one common point that the specific purpose for which that legacy or donation has been received, whether they have been used in that manner or not. Reconciliation of subscriptions. Again, if any subscriptions are there, then all collections of the subscription ko cash book se auditor is going to check, and he'll see that whether any subscription is still outstanding. He'll check it through with the subscription register. Simple. Then authorization and sanction. So authorization and sanction with respect to purchases and expenses. So if any item has been purchased or any expenditure has been incurred, so verify that capital expenditure, if it is in the form of capital expenditure, it should be proper sanction of either the managing committee. And if any increments to staff is there, that should be also authorized. So this point is basically about authorization and sanctions. So authorization and sanctions are required for capital expenditure. These are required for increments to staff. So whether the same has been obtained or not. Grants and TDS. So if any grant is received, whether the same has been duly accounted for. If any refund is to be obtained, whether the same has been claimed or not. Right? Budgets. So auditor is going to compare the total of various items of expenditure with the budgets. And in case of any significant variation, the same will be discussed with the trustees or the managing committee. Simple. Internal check. So internal check with respect to the various kind of inventory. So in a hospital, there will be inventory of stores, medicines, linens, apparatus, clothing, instruments. So he'll see whether internal check is there with respect to receipt and issue of all these things in order to ensure that this such inventory is properly accounted for. And he'll also consider what register, and if any issues have been made, whether the same are as per the proper authorization. Simple. Depreciation, the assets, they should be depreciated at appropriate rates. Registers, so the various registers can be inspect the bonds, share scripts, title deeds of property in order to see the property and investment registers. Simple. Inventories, so this was about the receipts and issue, right? So here it is basically saying that auditor needs to verify the inventory on sample basis and compare them with the respective ledger balances. And the last point is management representation and certification. So he'll obtain a management certificate or representation with respect to the various aspects that he considered necessary during the course of audit. Is it clear? Is it clear? So with this, we have covered the audit with respect to audit of hospital also. Now we'll be starting with audit of club. Before that, please tell me, before starting with the next topic, I just want all of you to reply as to whether whatever we have done so far, because we have covered a number of topics today. And why I'm covering them quickly, because these are really very simple. So tell me whether you have understood as to the concept and also as to how to prepare for your exams, this relevant topic. So the next topic is audit of club. So see students, whenever you get any such entity, just visualize in your mind that, okay, if there is a hospital, these are the important aspects and these are the aspects that are going to have an impact on the financial statements. So auditor is going to check that, right? So just visualize. Same way, now if you just consider club, now you tell me what important points come to your mind. Audit of a club. Sukaina, Bhumika, Swati, Om, Kiran. Prithviraj, Sunil Gangadev. Please reply. So now we are discussing, okay, membership fee, subscription, correct. Others also please reply. See, whenever you enter a club, take example of, let's say, Gymkhana club. So there must be certain entrance fees, right? Subscriptions can be there. Relating to subscription, another point can be arrears of subscription. Then arithmetical accuracy with respect to register of members. Then the dues that are irrecoverable with respect to the dues from members, right? So this way there are 12 points with respect to audit of club, and we'll be discussing these one by one, right? So the special steps that are to be taken are entrance fees. So there must be certain applications that must have been received, counterfoils receipts that has been issued when entrance fees have been received, right? So auditor will consider that. Subscription, the member subscription, whatever has been received with the counterfoils, with the register of members, auditor will reconcile and he'll see the amount collected and what is the amount that is outstanding. Arrears of subscription, if any of the amount is in arrears, right? So whether that has been correctly brought forward, and if any subscription has been received in advance, so whether the arrears and the advance have been correctly adjusted. Simple. Arithmetical accuracy with respect to the register of members and tally them across. So when the various amounts that are due from the various from the various members that is mentioned in the register of members, auditor is going to verify the arithmetical accuracy for that. Irrecoverable member dues. So if any of the member dues are there which are to be payable, so first of all, whether necessary steps have been taken for the recovery, And if these are irrecoverable, the same will be mentioned in the audit report. Then the pricing. See, in the club, there must be certain food stuff that is distributed, or certain games like tennis or your carom board or any such games. So if the auditor is going to consider the prices or the tickets for that, so he will check what internal check. As regards the members been charged with prices of foodstuffs and drinks provided to them and their guests, as well as fees payable for special services like billiards or tennis, any such game. Member accounts. So if any of the member has, let's say, opted for any of the services that the club provides it, so the member account will be debited by the amount of that service. So whether that amount has been correctly debited. So trace the details for a selected period from subsidiary register maintained in respect of supplies and services to members to confirm that the account of every member has been debited with amounts recoverable from him. Purchases. Vouch the purchases. What can be the purchases in a club? It can be a sports item, furniture, crockery. Trace their entry in the respective inventory register. Then if any margin is earned with respect to the food items that are sold, so auditor will consider that also. So vouch the purchases of foodstuff, cigars, wines, test their special sale price so as to confirm the normal rates of gross profits that has been there. And in case of any unsold provisions or stores, so auditor will what? He will physically verify them. With respect to inventories, he will check the inventory of furniture, sports on a sample basis. He'll check it from the inventory register. With respect to investments, auditor will inspect the share scripts, the bonds in respect of investments, and he'll see whether they have been properly accounted for. And last but not the least is what? Management powers. The financial powers of the secretary of the club. And if these are exceeded, so if the secretary has not abided by such rules, or he has exceeded his power, he has misused his power, then that specific case will be reported to the managing committee. Is it clear? So this was with respect to audit of a club. Is it clear? Entrance fees, subscription, arrears of subscription, arithmetical accuracy, irrecoverable member dues, your pricing of foodstuff and the services, members account, purchases, margin earned, inventories, investments, and management powers. So Om Gupta is saying it is clear. Now the next one is very interesting, audit of cinema. Quickly tell me the keywords that come to your mind when I ask you about audit of cinema. Quickly. Audit of cinema. Students, quickly send in your replies, because after covering the topics that I have decided to discuss today, I have to discuss one essay from chapter number 8 also. So tickets, Swati is saying correct. Sukanya is saying tickets, that is correct. Om Gupta is saying tickets and food stuff, that is also correct. Others also please reply. So students, see, with respect to audit of cinema, 11 points are given in your module. So the first point is internal control. Let me just show you all other points and then we'll start. The second point is relating to statement of tickets sold, then the free passes, then the tax that is collected, then the cash that is received, then when the movie is there, advertisement, you also see advertisement. So the cinema hall must be charging certain amount from the advertisers. So 1 point relating to that. Then other expenditure like repairs, maintenance, expenditure and advertisement by the cinema hall, all that thing. Then depreciation with respect to the assets. Then some payment must have been made to the distributors. Some advance must have been paid to the distributors. And within the cinema hall, there must be, like within the premises of the cinema hall, there must be, there can be what? Restaurant. So with the last point with respect to the restaurant income. ठीक है. Now, the first point relating to internal control, and yes, you all are absolutely correct. First and foremost, relating to what? Tickets. So, first of all, the entrance to the cinema hall should be through printed tickets. They should be serially numbered and bound into books. Very logical, very simple, right? The number of tickets that are issued for each class, each show should be different, simple. And the tickets that are issued for advance booking, the series of such tickets should be separate. Obviously, na, the those who are buying it from the counter as and when there is a show, the series of that vis-a-vis the series of advance booking, it will be separate. And the tickets must be kept in the custody of the responsible official. So you may get a 3-mark or a 4-mark question here, that you are conducting the audit of a cinema hall and you are being required by the engagement team partner to consider the internal control mechanism of the cinema hall, or to verify various aspects relating to the tickets. So these are the points that you are going to mention, that printed ticket से ही entry होना चाहिए, serially numbered, bound in books, different for each show and class. Then advance booking should have a separate series of tickets, and then custody of the responsible official. Clear? So students, why I'm doing this chapter from the module? Because I want all of you to highlight the keyword in the modules. So while we are discussing the topic from the module, you will be able to know as to how to pick up the keywords. Then whenever there is end of the show, the statement of tickets show, the statement of tickets that have been sold, that must be prepared. So auditor is going to confirm it from the cash so collected, right? Then there can be situation of free passes that have been issued. So free passes, if any, the same should be under proper authority, simple. And tax is also collected, right? So whether the tax has been collected with respect to what total number of tickets, and auditor will confirm it from the tax returns that have been filed. The entries that are there in the cash book, auditor will check them with the sale of tickets, and he will check that whether the sale of tickets have been mentioned in the daily statements, show wise. Simple. Then if any advertisement slides are shown or any shots are shown, then certain charges must have been collected. So auditor will verify the charges collected for advertisement slides and shots by reference to register of slides and shots exhibited, kept at the cinema, as well as with the agreements entered into with the advertisers. So he will verify all those charges, and he'll also verify the agreements. Then if any expenditure is there in the form of repair and maintenance, very general points, that the point that the same should not be capitalized, it should be charged to revenue. And again, another point, depreciation, you all have done earlier also, that it should be at the appropriate rates, right? So the next 2 points are relating to the amounts that have been paid to the distributor. So if any amount has been paid to the distributor for hiring the film, so auditor will vouch the payment on account of film hire with the bill of distributor. He'll check it from what? Bill of distributor. And if any unadjusted balance of advance that is paid to a distributor. So let's say the cinema hall has given any advance to the distributor, and later on the film didn't work well, or it didn't perform well on the box office. So there will be what? Unadjusted balance. So auditor will consider that also, right? And then what is the arrangement for collection of the share of restaurant income? So whether a fixed percentage is received or a fixed sum is received annually. So auditor will consider that, and in case the restaurant is run by the cinema, then the auditor is also consider what? The accounts, right? So he will cover the sale of various items of foodstuffs, purchases of foods or cold drinks, etc. in case of the, as is we have done in case of the clubs. Is it clear? Is it clear? So with this, we have finished the audit of uh, hospitals. We have finished earlier. Clubs we have done, and now we have also covered audit of cinema. Now we'll be starting with audit of hotels, but before that, please tell me, is it clear? So students, today we have covered audit of NGO, audit of sole trader, and then audit of firm, audit of LLP, charitable institution, educational institution, hospital, club, cinema, and now we'll be starting with that of hotels. The audit of hotels is given on, see student, on page number 9.51. Na? There is audit with respect to hire purchase and leasing companies. First of all, tell me whether you have done the relevant accounting standard relating to leases, finance lease and operating lease. Quickly send in your replies. This is on page number 9.51. Quickly send in your replies. Students, I'm waiting for your replies. So yes, Swati, Om Gupta, Bhumika, Sukaina, all are saying yes, they have done. So students, see, consider because of the paucity of time, we have limited 2 sessions for this chapter. So I'll do one thing. I'll give you this topic as a homework because you all have done AS 19, right? Many of you, in fact, all of you, Om Gupta, Swati, Bhumika, Sukaina, everyone is saying that you all have done. So do it as a homework. In case you find any query, any difficulty in understanding and learning this topic, we will discuss it in the next session. The next session is also scheduled for this chapter only. Okay? So the topic that is given on page number 9.51, paragraph number 11, audit of hire purchase and leasing companies. I have given this to you as the homework. Though I'll just touch upon this topic in the next session also, and in case of doubt, I'll definitely take the entire topic, right? So do before coming for the next session, you are definitely, you will be going through the module, but more specifically with respect to that topic also. Now with respect to the audit of hotels, which is given on page number 9.56. So in your module, 6 points are discussed with respect to audit of hotels. So before discussing with us, before I start the discussion given in your module, you tell me uh, what all points come to your mind, what all documents or what all income and expenditure side items. Just send me the keywords as you have sent for the earlier topics also. Send in your replies. Quickly with respect to hotels. This is not restaurant. This is a hotel whereby room services are also there. So Sukaina is saying room, number of rooms. Om Gupta is saying room, the food that is provided, the salaries. Bhumika is saying internal control, the room rents. Correct. Absolutely correct. Right. So now let us just look at the points that are given in your module. So audit of hotels, mein there is internal control. So Bhumika, you have written internal control, which is absolutely correct. Right. Then room sales and hall bookings. Many of you have answered. Sukaina has answered rooms. Om Gupta, then Bhumika, Swati, ठीक which is correct. Then inventories, right? Of food and beverage inventories. So many of you have written food items also. Then fixed assets will be there. Casual labor, and then travel agents and shops, right? So now let us start with the first point, which is what? Internal control. See, pilferage. What is pilferage? Pilfering. What is it? Quickly send in your replies. So I'll not wait for much time. So pilferage is theft of small items, small quantities, right? It can be food stuff also. It can be towels also. It can be the toothbrushes also, right? So pilferage, it is one of the greatest problems in any hotel. And because of this reason, the internal control is really very, very important with respect to what? The hotels, right? And it is whose responsibility? It is the responsibility of the management to introduce the various controls in order to minimize the leakage as far as possible, right? So what can management do? Management can prepare regular, for example, weekly trading accounts for each sale point. Like so and so stuff has been added, and on a weekly basis detailed scrutiny is done and details are maintained as to so and so amount has been issued and so amount are left. The auditor should obtain these regular trading accounts for the period under review, examine them and obtain explanation from the for the apparent deviations. So in case of any deviations, auditor will obtain explanation, right? Now there will be what? Restaurant bills also, right? So kitchen order tickets and the basic record. So kitchen order tickets is what? Whenever the order is placed, the kitchen order is generated. So the same will be checked from the restaurant bills, and he'll see whether there are adequate control with respect to that also, right? If taxes are collected from the occupants on food and occupation have been paid over, whether the same has been paid to the proper authority, right? And students, if the internal control in a hotel is not working properly, right? So see students, what happens is in a hotel now, for example, the housekeeping staff, they will maintain a record, let's say on some system, on some automatic system or some app they have been provided, that which room they have provided what services. So this data is going to stay, let's say, only for one day. So that is why it is mentioned that as a result of transient nature of many of its clients record, transient is what? Temporary nature of the client's record, because everything is not, taken a printout and kept, or everything is not in the systems. Many of the data is just removed as and when the need is not there. Let's say after 2 hours, let's say the next day. So the auditor must rely to a very large extent on the gross margin by the accounts. As a result, the scope of audit tests will necessarily be increased, and the material margin discrepancy being explained, he will have to qualify his audit report. So that is why it is mentioned that the internal control needs to be very clear, and auditor needs to understand the internal control. Why? Because all such data is transient in nature. Transient is what? It is temporarily available. Is it clear? Is it clear? So this was with respect to internal control. And why internal control is important? Because of the problem of pilferage that is there, that is a common and a very huge problem in case of a hotel industry. The next point is relating to room sales and hall bookings, right? So first of all, auditor will consider what is the charge for the room sales, and he'll check it from the bills that has been issued. So see, all such bills are issued by either the receptionist or the front office, or in case of large hotels, it is issued by what? Night auditors. So he will consider what are the charges and he'll compare it from the guest bills, right? Then he will also compare it from the guest registers in order to see that the correct number of guests are charged for the correct period. Simple. And if any difference is there from the charged rate and what is the standard rate, then the same should be properly authorized. Simple, very practical. Then the point that is what, as I was telling you, the housekeeper prepares daily reports which were occupied by previous night and number of beds. This report tends not to be permanently retained. Are you able to understand this point now? And the auditor should ensure that a sufficient number of reports are available for him to test both the guest register with the individual guest bill. So auditor should consider such kind of reports also. And he will also see whether the hotel has maintained proper records for booking of halls and other premises for the special parties. Is it clear? So this this is the point relating to room sales and hall booking. So abhi tak we have done the first point relating to internal control and the second point relating to room sales and hall booking. Then is inventory. And the inventory, see the inventory that is available with the hotels now, these are readily portable and sellable, particularly the food and beverage inventories. So the cold drinks, the food items that are available, so anyone can take it and anyone can sell it, right? So it is therefore important that all the movements and transfers of such inventory, when the inventory comes in, where the inventory is stored, and then when the inventories are issued, everything should be documented. Why? Because these are readily portable and sellable. If the documents are not maintained when the inventory is received, it can be possible now that any of the employee who wants to sell that inventory without the notice of anyone, he can sell it. Why? Because it is readily portable and sellable. So what is the option? What is the solution? Documentation of all movements and transfers of such inventory, right? And the stores, so when they are when the inventory enters, when they're kept in stores, and when they are issued. Simple. See students, these points are very logical, very practical. So as I have asked you, just try to imagine yourself in a situation that okay, I'm conducting the verification of inventory. See what will be the next point. You will see, you will ask the management, okay, this is your inventory, tell me where the inventory is kept. So should it be logged? Answer is yes. So inventory should be logged. The key can be given to everyone? No. The key should be retained by departmental manager. So can the key be given to anyone? No. The key should be released only to trusted personnel, right? Who can be permitted to enter the stores, right? And whenever any movement of goods is there, that is whenever any inventory comes in or whenever the entry is been issued, auditor should check that, right? And in certain cases, it might be possible where large hotels are there, they may have specialized professional valuers in order to take and value the inventories on a continuous basis throughout the year. So the hotels might have outsourced a service of physical verification of the inventory to specialized professional valuers. So auditor and such valuation is considered when the hotel is preparing the balance sheet. So, though they are independent of the client, but still auditor should satisfy himself that the amounts included in such inventories are what? Reasonable. And he may also carry out the physical inventory taking on a sample basis. Is it clear? Is it clear? So this was with respect to your inventory. Now fixed assets. So capitalize kiya hai, it should be with proper authorization. Depreciation should have been charged. And see students, in case of hotels, there can be various silver or you can say any precious metal cutlery. So these have been defined as quasi-fixed assets. So this point says that with respect to fixed assets now, there can be confusion as to whether this particular item is a fixed asset or is it an inventory. So there should be very detailed definition in order to avoid such confusion, right? And auditor should carry out the test to ensure that definitions have been closely followed. That is, if any item has been classified as a fixed asset, it should meet that criteria, right? And the general rule is what? If any of the amount has been incurred for repairs and minor renovation or redecoration, it will be charged to revenue expenditure. And where cost of major alterations or additions are there to the hotel building, it will be capitalized. Is it clear? Is it clear? And then the last point is with respect to travel agents and shops. See, there must be agreements between the travel agencies, Make My Trip, for example, and the hotel. Now, with respect to all that, first of all, this says that auditor will consider the ledgers coming from the travel agents, whereby all the details are mentioned that so and so booking has been done. And he will compare them with the bills that have been raised, right? And he will ensure that if any of the amount is recovered from the travel agent, and whatever bookings or travel agent or the bookings, the same should be as per the credit terms that has been allowed, right? And if any commission is there that is paid to the travel agent, so auditor will consider it with reference to the agreements on that behalf. Is it clear? So this was with respect to your audit of hotels, whereby we have done 6 points. That is, first is relating to internal control. Second is relating to room sales and hall bookings. Then inventories. Then fixed assets, cash, travel agents and shops. See, this fifth point is left, casual labor. I'll just do that also. Casual labor. See, in a hotel industry or in a hotel, casual labor is frequently hired. Hana? Casual labor who is there for cleaning, who is there for gardening, who is there for various other things. So casual labor is hired to a very large extent. And chances are there that the records which are maintained for such wage payments are frequently inadequate. Because most of the time it happens that new labor is added, old has gone. So chances are there that the records of such wage payment are frequently inadequate, right? So what will auditors do? Auditor will have to, auditor can suggest various controls to the management that can be implemented in order to work in a situation like this, whereby there are what? Inadequate wage payment records. Is it clear? Is it clear? So are the 6 points relating to audit of hotels clear to all of you? Quickly send in your replies. So students, we have covered till page number 9.58. In this chapter, our topic of government audit is left. Then audit of cooperative society, whereby it is, and then audit of local bodies. So that I'll take up in the next session. So first of all, tell me whatever we have done for chapter number 9 today, whether it is clear. So we have done audit of NGO, sole trader, sole proprietorship, then your firm, partnership firm, LLP, charitable institution, educational institution, hospital, club, cinema, hotels, and hire purchase and leasing company I have given you as a homework. So quickly tell me, and then I'll cover one of the essays of chapter number 8 that was left. So last 15 minutes are for your chapter number 8 essay 600 that I'll be taking today. Quickly send in your replies. So Om Gupta, Bhumika, Swati, they are saying yes. Chalo, that's good. Now let us go back to chapter number 8. And before starting with essay 600, I want all of you to please tell me that whether you have done a chapter, you have revised or you have learned and revised chapter number 8. Because in chapter number 8, only two topics were left, that is essay 600 and essay 710. Essay 600 I'll be taking up today, essay 710 I'll be taking up in the next session. But please tell me, so as I always tell you that these sessions have been organized for your benefit only. Now it is up to you whether you guys are taking full advantage of these sessions or not. So Om Gupta is saying yes, that's good. Others also please reply. At least you should have gone through the module for chapter number 8. If not, the entire learning has been done, or some part of chapter number 8 must have been done. Sukarna is saying, ma'am, till chapter number 6, it is done. Sukarna and other students, see, I have always asked you and in fact requested you not to, compile, keep on piling the data, that I'll learn it after the course is complete. So if you have done till chapter number 6, that is good. But we have covered chapter number 7, completion and review, chapter number 8, audit review, and today half of the chapter number 9 has also been done, right? So it will be good for you if before the next session, which is on Monday, you have 4 5 days, just go through. You have 4 days, right? So just go through, try to complete 2 or 1.5 chapter also apart from chapter number 9. Chapter number 9 though, you should do it today itself or maximum by tomorrow. Is it clear, Sukaina? Swati Singh ma'am till chapter number 7, that's good, but again I'll say chapter number 8 and 9 also please start doing and finishing, and just finish up your syllabus, because we are left with only 2.5 chapters now, right? So the crux is take advantage of these classes. And how can you do that? Listen with concentration to these sessions, and after the session, immediately after the session, go through the module, and before coming for the next session, just flip on the pages of the earlier chapters also, right? So that it should not happen that you are learning the 7 8 9 chapters and you are forgetting the earlier chapters. So keep on flipping the pages of the earlier chapter also. Chalo, good. So the next topic is from chapter number 8. So essay 600, which is using the work of another auditor, right? So this is in context of branches. So first of all, let us try to understand three things. That is, what is principal auditor? What is definition of other auditor, and what is a component as defined by essay 600? The name of the essay is using the work of another auditor. So see, component. So let's say, just take an example that it is H is a holding company, H Limited, and ABC and Associate is the firm of, let's say, XYZ, right? Just a minute, right? And then X Limited is also, let's say, there are certain branches also. Okay. So component will be all these. It means a division, branch, subsidiary, joint venture, associated enterprises, or any entity whose financial information is included in the financial information audited by principal auditor. Who will be principal auditor here? ABC and Associates. So it means the auditor with the responsibility for reporting on the financial information of an entity when that financial information includes the financial information of one or more components audited by another auditor. So let's say the financials of these are audited by, let's say, UVW and Associates. So UV and W and Associates become what? Other auditor. So it means the auditor other than principal auditor with responsibility for reporting on the financial information of a component X, component Y, Z, which is included in the financial information audited by the principal auditor. Right? Are you able to understand? So principal auditor is ABC and Associates in our case, because the auditor is having the responsibility for reporting the financial information of the entity when that financial information includes financial information of one or more components audited by another auditor. And other auditor is what? The auditor other than the principal auditor with responsibility of reporting on financial information of the component which is included in financial information audited by principal auditor, and component is the branches or the subsidiaries. Is it clear? Right? Now let me just take you through module once, just a minute. Just give me a minute. So, are you all aware about section 128? Send in your replies, please. Section 128. Quickly send in your replies. We are doing this topic from page number 8.62 of your module. So you all are aware. Chalo, that's good. So I'll quickly take you through section 128. And section 143 also, please reply. Eight 8.62. Just a minute. Auditor branch office accounts. Chalo, that's good. See, section 128, subsection 1 says, section 128, subsection 1 of Companies Act. It says that every company shall prepare and keep at its registered office books of accounts and other relevant so as to give the true and fair view, including that of its branch office, right? And the same shall be prepared on accrual basis and double entry, right? Further, the document books of accounts may be kept at such other place as the board of directors may decide, provided within 7 days the company shall file with the registrar a notice in writing giving the full address of that other place, right? Further, section 128 subsection 2, it says that where a company has a branch office in India or outside India, it shall be deemed to have complied with the provisions of subsection 1. Subsection 1 requires that the books of accounts of the head office as well as the branch office be kept at registered office. If proper books of accounts relating to transactions effected at the branch office are kept at that office, and proper summarized returns periodically are sent by the branch office to the company, so it shall be deemed that section 128 subsection 1 has been complied with. Is it clear? Only this much understanding is required. Now section 143 subsection 8, it prescribes the duties and powers of company's auditor with reference to audit of branch and branch auditor. So in case of a company, the branch office accounts can be audited by either the company auditor or any other person who is qualified under section 139 of the Companies Act. Section 139 of the Companies Act contains the various qualification, the eligibility of the auditor, right? Now, if any branch office is outside India, so in that case, either the company auditor, that is, for example, let's say this is outside India. So either ABC and Associates can be appointed as the auditor of this branch, or any person, any accountant or any person who is qualified to act as an auditor of accounts or branch office as per the laws of that country, that can also be appointed as the auditor of that branch, right? So what will be the responsibility of the branch auditor? So if branch auditor is different from company auditor, in that case, branch auditor shall prepare the report on accounts of the branch and will send it to the company auditor. And company auditor will deal with that report in his audit report on the consolidated financial statement as he considers necessary. Simple, right? Now, Rule 12 of Company Audit and Auditors Rule 2014 says that the branch auditor shall submit his report to the company's auditor, and the responsibility with respect to reporting of fraud shall apply to branch auditor also. This is also simple. Now comes our SA 600, using the work of another auditor. See, when the branch accounts are audited by person other than the company auditor, then there need to be a clear understanding of each role, the role of principal auditor as well as the role of branch auditor. Why? Because the branch the accounts of the branch, they are being used in the preparation of the financials of the you can say the company in question. Now, the principal auditor is conducting the audit of that company, right? So, whether he can rely on the report of the branch auditor, whether he can advise something to branch auditor, all those provisions are contained in SA 600. So it says that when the branch accounts are audited by a person other than the company auditor, then there need to be a clear understanding of each rule. They need to be proper, rapid, or you can say proper understanding between the two auditors for effective audit. Now, what are the rights of the principal auditor? So if I asked you that whether the principal auditor can visit the branch, the component, answer is yes. The principal auditor can visit the component, the subsidiary or the joint venture or the branch, and examine the books of account and other records if he considers it necessary. Normally the principal auditor is entitled to rely upon the work of another auditor. Why? Because we have seen other auditor will be a person who is qualified to be appointed as an auditor in terms of the law of the company. Or if it is in India, then any other chartered accountant will be appointed as auditor. So in that case, he is entitled to rely unless special circumstances to visit or examine. Right? And further, in order to see whether the work of the other auditor is adequate for the purpose of the principal auditor, he will obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence for the same by performing various procedures. So before using the work of the other auditor, branch auditor, whether that work is adequate for the purpose of principal auditor, he'll obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence by performing various procedures. What are those? So the principal auditor may advise the branch auditor, the other auditor. He may advise him as to what is the use of auditor's work and report. That this is the use of your report and your work that I'm going to do. The principal auditor will make sufficient arrangement for coordination of efforts at the planning stage. So while the principal auditor is planning the audit, at that stage, he'll make sufficient arrangement for coordination of efforts. He'll inform the branch auditor or the other auditor the areas requiring special consideration. So he may ask him that, see, with respect to these inter-segment transactions, now you have to be very, you have to give your special considerations. The procedures for identification of intercomponent transaction that require disclosure and the timetable for completion of audit. Simple. Further, he may advise, the principal auditor may also advise the other auditor the significant accounting, auditing, and reporting requirements and obtain representations as to the compliance with them. So the principal auditor will advise the branch auditor that these are the significant accounting, auditing, and reporting requirements that you need to fulfill. And the principal auditor may obtain a representation from the branch auditor with respect to the compliance with them. Further, the principal auditor may discuss with other auditor the audit procedures that have been applied. Further, he may ask for a written summary of other auditors' procedure, that please give me a written summary of your procedures that you have applied. Or the principal auditor may provide the branch auditor with the questionnaire or the checklist that is to be filled by the branch auditor. Right? Then the principal auditor may visit the other auditor. And lastly, it says that the nature, timing, extent of procedure that the principal auditor is going to perform, it depends upon the circumstances of engagement and the principal auditor's knowledge of professional competence of other auditor. So if the principal auditor is satisfied with the competence, professional competence of the other auditor, he may rely on his report. Otherwise, he'll apply all these procedures also. And see, it is so logical that if he is not sure about the knowledge of the professional competence, knowledge or professional competence of the other auditor, he is not going to rely. He will then visit, he will then examine the books of accounts, right? Is it clear? So let me just take you through the module once for SA 600, which is given on page number 8.62. So here, firstly, section 128, subsection 1 and subsection 2 are described. Then section 143 subsection 8 of the Companies Act 2013 are given. You all have said that you have done this in your law, but still we have had a discussion. Now, as per Rule 12, it says that the branch auditor has Rule 12 of Companies Audit and Auditor Rule 2014. The branch auditor shall submit his report to Companies Auditor, and the reporting of fraud shall also extend to branch auditor. The definitions we have done: principal auditor, other auditor, and component. Now it says that when the principal auditor is using the work of another auditor, they needs to have a clear understanding, a proper rapid between these, so that effective audit ho sake. Uske liye kya hai? SA 600, using the work of another auditor. So first of all, it says that there is a right on the principal auditor, right that is given to the principal auditor to visit the component and examine the books of accounts and other records, if he consider it necessary to do so. So normally, though, he is entitled to rely upon the work of such auditor unless there are special circumstances for him to visit and examine the books of accounts. Further, before using the work, principal auditor will see whether the work of other auditor is adequate for his purpose, for which he is going to perform procedures in order to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Now, sufficient appropriate audit evidence for what? Whether that work is appropriate for his purpose, is adequate for his purpose. So what can be those procedure? He can advise the other auditor to the use of his work that can be made, make arrangements for coordination at the planning stage, right? He would inform the other auditor matters such requires special consideration, like intercomponent transaction, disclosure, timetable of completion, and the significant accounting auditing report, and obtain representation as to the compliance with them. Further, he might discuss with the other auditors the audit procedures that have been applied, and he may review the written summary of the auditor's procedures, other auditors' procedures and finding. He may review and which may be in the form of completed questionnaire or the checklist, right? The extent, the nature, timing of the procedures that the principal auditor will perform in this regard, it depends upon the auditor's knowledge, principal auditor's knowledge of the professional competence of the other auditor, right? This knowledge he might have obtained from a review of the previous audit work of the auditor. See, when auditor used the work of this auditor last year also, see, he must be having an understanding now as to how the other auditor works, right? Quickly go through this test or understanding 4. Quickly. Students, just give me just 2 or 3 minutes, then I'll end the session. Quickly read this test to understanding 4. It says that CA Yadav is auditor of a company having 4 branches. The 4 branches are audited by another auditor, CA Yamini Jain. The reports in respect of accounts of branches examined by her have already been sent to the company auditor. During the course of audit, CA Yadav asked the branch auditor to share with her summary of audit procedures and finding in respect of accounts of branches. CA Yamini feels it is encroachment of her domain. Discuss the issue. Quickly send in your replies. So is it an encroachment of the domain? Yes or no? So not an encroachment, Om is saying. Swati is saying Yamini is not correct, which is absolutely correct. So the answer that is given on page number 8.100, it says that such review of audit procedures or finding can be undertaken if principal auditor feels that it is necessary to do so, right? To apply such procedure to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, it is not an encroachment of another auditor's domain. I hope it is clear. Is it clear? Is it clear? So, chalo, that's good. So, with this, we have covered one of the essays of chapter number 8, essay 600 that was left. Now we are left with one more essay of chapter number 8, essay 710 relating to comparative information that I'll be taking up in the next session. And in the next session, we'll be completing with chapter number 9. And students, considering the paucity of time, the time available with us, in case any of the topics of chapter number 9 will be left, I'll definitely cover them up in the session that is scheduled for chapter number 10, the way we are doing for chapter number 8. right? So on a very positive note, and hoping that you will go through the module for chapter number 9 as well as chapter number 8, and for all those who have not done the earlier chapters also. So goodbye for today, and see you on Monday. Thank you.